So, Samson, chapter 4, the end. Our story so far: Samson, great strength, sent to, or birthed to, save the Hebrew people from the people who are oppressing them, the Philistines. Ends up being this super violent guy, super strong when the spirit of Yud-He Vav-He comes into him. Super strong, super violent, kills all these people. There's this escalating cycle of violence. For 20 years, leads the country, stopping the Philistines. The Philistine rulers plot. They enlist the work of a woman named Delilah, his lover, to trap him. They pluck out both of his eyes and they take him captive. They take him captive, and the Philistines throw a party, a giant party, to celebrate the capture of Samson, whom they have been trying to capture for 20 years now. And they make a giant sacrifice to their god, not Yud-He Vav-He, but a god named Dagon, who may have looked like a mermaid. He's kind of, I don't know, mermaidish. And they say that Samson has been captured because their god, Dagon, has given them the power to do this. And they sing a song to their god. Our God has given into our hands our enemy, the one who ruined our land and killed many of us. It doesn't rhyme in our language. Maybe it didn't in theirs. And so they're eating and they're drinking and they're getting drunk and their hearts are merry, and they say, "Call for Samson so he can entertain us, so we can humiliate him." How can you imagine that they would humiliate them? They call for him from prison where he's grinding grain, and so he can come up and he can entertain them. He can humiliate himself for them. They place him between the pillars of their giant temple where they're having this huge party. How could they humiliate him? How do you think this could look? The text doesn't tell us. I'm imagining maybe they could make him, do a stupid dance and they laugh at him. Remember, this is a man now whose both of his eyes are gone. They've ripped out his eyes. They could throw food at him. They could throw vegetables at him, and they could throw meats at him. They could throw stones at them. They could throw rocks at him. This is a brutal time. Maybe finally you can imagine a small child. This is terrible, right? A small child coming up and taking some food and just smushing it in Samson's face. Terrible, terrible. This temple is full of men and women and children, and all the Philistine rulers were there. Maybe Delilah was there too. About 3,000 people there. Samson has an attendant, a young man, who's holding his hand. Because remember, Samson is bound by chains and can't see anything because his eyes are gone. And he says to the young man, "Let me rest and let me touch the pillars on which this temple is set so I can lean against them." That's an interesting thing to ask. Why does he want to lean against the pillars? Any ideas? He needs to ask because he's been blind and he can't see where they are, but he wants to lean against the pillars. So it's while that's all going on and they're mocking him that Samson calls out to Yud-He Vav-He and says, "Remember me, I pray. Please, please strengthen me just this once." Remember, his hair is growing back in. "Please strengthen me just this once so that I can get full revenge on the Philistines for my 2 eyes." And he feels it. He feels it in his body again. Samson grasps the 2 middle pillars on which the temple is grounded, and he leans against them, pushes with his right hand, pushes with his left hand, and he pushes, and he pushes, and he pushes, and he feels them beginning to shift. And he screams out, "Let me die with the Philistines!" And the pillars fall. You can imagine this, the pillars warping, the ceiling wobbling, and the beams that hold up the whole thing snapping, and the ceiling falling down. And it's falling down, and it's falling down on all of the people below, including Samson, including the 5 kings, maybe including Delilah. And it squishes them. It kills them all. And the text says, at his death, Samson kills more people than he has in all of his life. They're all dead. Samson's family comes down. They find his body. They take it back and they bury him in his hometown. And the text ends by saying that he had been the ruler of the Hebrews for 20 years.